Hey, it's Faye from Faye Special Effects, and today I'm going to be showing you how to apply a prosthetic transfer. Prosthetic transfers are super easy to apply. All you're going to need is the prosthetic transfer, some water, a sponge or a damp towel, a marker, and some scissors,
along with some Pros-Aide of your choice and an alcohol palette to paint.
First, what you're going to do is get your prosthetic out of the package. On the back, there will be some instructions, or you can scan the barcode, that's probably how you got here, to find a tutorial. Then what we're going to do is remove the paper from the staple.
When you're doing this, just try to make sure to be extra careful and not get your fingers on the prosthetic itself, because it could stick to your fingers and that's not going to be very fun.
We're going to get our prosthetic and we're going to put 2 layers of Pros-Aide adhesive on the top of the prosthetic. And we're going to let those dry in between layers.
After waiting for the first layer to completely dry, we'll go on to do our second layer of Pros-Aide on top of our prosthetic, waiting for it to dry completely.
Then we're going to get our prosthetic transfer and place it on the transfer paper, pressing from the middle out, squeezing out any excess bubbles.
And here's a really great tip for being able to see what you're going to do when you're applying this, because you're only going to be able to see the white paper. So if you draw an outline of the wound itself, it'll be much easier to place the item on the actor or whoever's skin. Once that's completed, get your scissors, because you're going to cut a perimeter about 1 centimeter wide around your prosthetic. You want to make sure that you stay away from the actual prosthetic itself, because you don't want to cut into it. Next, you're going to prep your actor's skin by cleaning it with some alcohol, making sure that it's free of any debris, dirt, or hair. Now it's time to apply the prosthetic. First, we're going to start by peeling off the clear plastic from the actual prosthetic itself. Then we're going to hold it up to where we think that we want to place it on our actor. Once we know where it's going to go, we're going to get our Pros-Aide or dead set glue, and we're going to apply a thin layer and let it dry completely before moving on to the next step. After a couple of minutes, once the Pros-Aide is completely clear, it's time to gently place your transfer onto the person's skin, gently smoothing out from the middle going outwards with your fingers, and then you'll grab your spray and spray a generous amount. You want it to be damp, but not soaking wet. Now we'll gently press the transfer into the skin, making sure that it's completely wet. After about 30 seconds, once you think it's ready, you can slowly start to peel back the paper to reveal the prosthetic itself. Wow. Then grab some alcohol and a cotton swab and melt out those edges. Then blend out those edges with some Pros-Aide. Next, I'm going to be using Brick in the Yard's matting gel. This is just a really nice start before you paint to get rid of any shine or gloss, because the shine and gloss makes it look a little bit more unrealistic because you can tell the prosthetic's there. Now time to paint. So we're going to grab our alcohol palettes. The first color that I always like to start with is a little bit of Rose Adjuster, and we're just going to get a small chip brush and splatter it on, trying to make sure it's tiny little splatters just to kind of give the skin some life. Once that's all said and done, I'm going to go in with some natural tones. So basically I'm just trying to skin match his skin. And then I'm going to get my stipple sponge and kind of blend out the edges while putting alcohol on it and tapping it with my fingers. This kind of gives it a little more muted look and a little bit more realism to match his skin tone to the actual prosthetic. Once I've got his skin tone match, I'm going to go in and start painting the inside of the wound itself. I start with the lightest color and then work my way to the darkest. This time I'm going to be starting with prime red and kind of giving it a complete wash over all of the low points. And then I'm going to go in with an aged blood to get around the outside of the wound itself to make it look a little bit deeper and kind of scratching up where the flesh and the wound meet, kind of give it some depth. I also went in with a little bit of yellowy jaundicey color just to kind of give the meaty parts, the high points, a little bit more of a fleshy grossness to it. Once I've got that done, I dampened my stipple sponge just a tiny bit with alcohol and went back into the wound and started dabbing it out. This is so nothing is super stark and it has a little bit of blendedness to it. Now, you don't have to use powder, but I like to use a light coat of RCMA powder. It's translucent powder, so it just sets everything. Even though it's alcohol, it doesn't actually need to be set. It'll help take down any shine. And then I go in with the fun part, which is the blood. For the thick part, I use Ben Nye's scab blood and a stipple sponge. A stipple sponge is a sponge with a whole bunch of tiny little holes in it, by the way. I use the ones from Black Lagoon. And I go in and just make more texture with that blood. And then once I'm ready, I add the drippy blood for the nice juicy effect. I'm being careful where to place the juicy blood because I don't want it to completely envelop the prosthetic itself. I want to show off the nice meaty parts on the inside of this zombie bite. And then I go on with a paper towel to dab it and dab the blood away, add more blood, and then dab more to take it away, just to make it look like it's been pressed with a hand. And then there you have it. You're able to make awesome and creepy, gory looks with these Pros-Aide transfers with super ease. Make sure you check out all the other ones that we have on RavenFaceSpecialEffects.com and comment and tell me what you guys think about these.